Made in Belgium by Harry Gruyaert and the writer Hugo Claus. Please excuse the pronunciation of Harry's name. It's a bit of a tricky Flemish name to pronounce. The book measures in at just under 12 inches by just under 9 inches. Hardcover with a dust jacket. So, pictures run on both sides. There's 90 pictures. There is the plate, the titles of the pictures. We have a Hugo Claus biography here. He was a Belgian writer, born in Bruges. And then we've got the biography of Harry here. I think it's in French and Flemish, I would presume. And then we've got the end here, published in 2000 by Delpire. And then I'm going to take, what I'm going to do is, as you can see, that this cover is so reflective. I've got the picture there at the back. It's very reflective. I'm just going to take that off there so not to damage it. So there we've got Made in Belgium. Nice hardcover. And look, it's like almost like a felt embossed there. It's really nice. Okay. Made in Belgium by Delpire. Text by Hugo Claus and photography by Harry Gruyaert. And I'm not going to say that name too much. I'm just going to call him Harry. I do apologise. I'm just going to bring it down a little bit. The images were shot between 1975 and 1990. I think the reason behind the book was that Harry wanted to come back and visit his country of birth, and he wanted to maybe explore the things he'd missed using the styles and techniques of which he's established with his use of colour. For me, Harry is just one of the finest colour photographers. It's almost surreal, a lot of it. They feel like montages, collages. Harry's philosophy really resonates with me in terms of the way he speaks about his work, in the way he doesn't like to interfere with what he's looking at. When he is on a journey, he lets it all unfold. And having worked with other photographers in his era, like Ian Berry, Philip Jones Griffiths, and from that stable of Magnum photographers, they very much work the same. Ian Berry would never let anything interfere with what he was shooting. And I used to sit and observe that and watch that. So when I hear Harry talking about the way he likes to operate and likes to work and likes to let the subjects unfold, and the legwork he puts into finding his images is, I can just totally relate to it. I can see what he's thinking in terms of letting images unfold before him. Obviously, you've got to know what you're looking for, and you've got to have a style behind that. And you can see his style's colour. For me, looking at this image here, this is in Antwerp around 1988. He obviously uses a lot of strong light. To me, I can see this, and I've heard him talk about his relationship with pop art in the 60s and 70s, and I know to some degree it's really influenced his work. And they almost feel like collages. They almost feel like he's just pasted them all together. And there's like this photorealism towards them. And if you can just imagine somebody like Richard Estes and his work, his complexity of colours and abstract, and the way he sees light in detail and the complexities of shapes and stuff. And obviously when you're shooting black and white and you have to think of shapes and patterns more. In colour, it's much more in your face. It really starts the whole process off with the colour. Then you see the shapes. And you can argue that, and I'm just giving you my point of view. But I definitely see there's an abstract element of photorealism from the pop art era. And then his techniques as well. On top of that is his ability to just find and let the light take the shape, let the colour take the shape of the shot. There's a few images which have a bit of Dutch tilt in there. The angle of the angles and stuff like that, the parallels are all off to a sort of angle. I can't really show that well, but I will come across. I'll show you that as I'm coming across images as we progress through it. The only thing I don't like about this book is the design, because if you look to the left of the pages, and I think it runs itself most of the way, there are it does swap over a little bit. But if you look at, say, this is such a great shot. This bit here is taken up with the text of Claus, and it's sort of I don't see the point of shrinking the picture to put a French and a Flemish version of the text in. So at the back here, you've got the text running out the back. I'll find it in a minute. And you've got the text running out the back here, and you've got the plate numbers there. I just wonder if they could have left the pictures big and then just put this text at the back. And I think it's weakened the book a little bit because his pictures need to be celebrated. They're just unbelievable. We'll have a look. So what I think I'll do, you can pick this book up, £25, £30 now. If you really want to look at colour photography, I presume it's all shot on Leica, M7, 50, 35mm. If you want to look at the world in the way somebody like Harry looks at it and try and manipulate light and how he's been influenced, I can see how this work's influenced a lot of street photography. But also, I have a feeling some of this has been influenced by somebody like Joel Meyerowitz and his New York street stuff, which was also very contrasty colour in parts. See that? And it would be about right, because the things like the Gucci shot was about in that mid-70s and stuff. So I can definitely see there's some passed on influence. But that's what it's all about. Harry will be taking influences all through his life. He'll be looking at Eggleston, he'll be looking at the pop art scene, he'll be looking at other street photographers of the time who are striking a chord. This was about the same period, and that shot was spotted like 81. So there's some similarities there, which is, it's fine. It's just the street style, the street photography style. And using this sort of light is always a major plus. So this is Antwerp again, the Laundrette, 1988. I love this shot. Look at that. Again, it's just lost to the size. There's another shot he's done as well where the shadow is really working. This is Ostend. I love this beach. I love this area. I'm really familiar with this place. One of my favourite places in Northern Europe, where all sort of down the coastline you can see the remnants of the Second World War and wartime Europe. And I'm used to going there when it's really hot and really sunny. Just to see this, it's beautifully dramatic. And I just love the way he's looking at light here. It's a painting, isn't it? And it goes back to that photorealism again as well. It's just sort of so, for me, so prevalent within his work. It's just, you can learn so much with the techniques of shooting in light and looking at how light also affects colour. And this is very muted. Obviously got the blue sky in the top there, but it's just a really, really beautiful way of looking at a sort of altered landscape with the use of light and exposure. It's just unbelievable. Again, I wonder if that's him in the shot there. And now we've got a smaller picture. This is in Turven in 1981. It looks like a museum, I presume. I like Harry's attitude of how he believes objectivity doesn't exist, and he wants you to enter into a surreal world. He wants you to take up the story in whatever form and whatever way you want to take the story. And that's what I love about his work. I think it offers you a sense of almost sort of decisive moment or that particular time, and he's asking you to then take on the role as the narrator. And that sounds quite deep, but I'm trying to grasp what he means. He uses this, it's almost like dreamscape, isn't it? It's almost like he's offering an abstract view of the world. And like I was going on before about it, it almost becomes a collage. Like, you know, it's sort of, it's like a 60s Hamilton montage, isn't it? It's just, it's wonderful. And they're timeless as well. And subdued colours. Really beautiful low light, this detail there. This is the Moose Valley, Mause, 1991. Looks like some war reenactment. Again, it feels almost a sort of Alex Webb, doesn't it? And I'm sure Alex has been very much inspired by this sort of work as well. And he's focusing on almost the absurd a lot of the time, isn't he? He's leaving you to ask questions and looking at how elements come together and how they link colours, and how we then look at the sort of shirt this guy's got on, and then his hair, and then the colour of this girl, and then the beer, the handbag, and obviously the breast is a central focal point on the intersection points. And it just asks you why, I guess. Why and what. And this is a Brussels nightclub, 1981. And it obviously centre focus, we get that, but it's the beer, the breast, and the bag, isn't it? B, B, B. Interesting. This is a fairground. It's a bit outside there. I thought it was more of a sort of prostitute, but it's a fairground in Brussels in 1981. And for me, it just weakens these pictures. These pictures should just be like, boom, big. And this is the red light district in Antwerp. Leaving you suggestive, let you make your mind up. He's offering you bits and letting you work it, using colour to decide with the legs. Leaves you to make what you want to think about it, leaves you to decide the outcome. I love this shot. Again, it's lost. This is along the coast, about 1988. And this is an Ostend. This is the cover. Really sort of abstract shot in Ostend. It's a carnival, Gruyaert Made, which I'm not sure what it's about. It's almost like a surreal theatre setting, isn't it? Just like most of his work. They're like film stills, like snippets from a bigger thing, snippets from a movie, snippets from real life, using motifs and symbols to lead you on and think, and letting the colour talk over it. Obviously the composition's there, the lighting technique's there. This is Antwerp gas station, 1988. Reminiscence for me of something like an Eggleston. I can see how somebody like Alex Soft's been influenced by this, just on the way they're focusing on certain things, and their use of colour, and their use of space, and the use of nothing really. There's nothing happening, but it's just leaving you to evolve the narrative on your own. This is on the French border in 1988. Another, what looks like a bit of a quick shot, slightly soft. And that was in Zaventem International Airport about 1981. I'm wondering if that was a quick snap on his Leica. But it's about what it's about, isn't it? It doesn't need to be in focus. Adds to the narrative. This is one of his sort of more featured shots which you might see around, and this was 1992. There's a lot going on with the different planes, with the painting of the escalator, but how he choreographs this, how he gets that in, how he stands in front of these people and choreographs the whole routine in, is a mark of a fantastic photographer. The composition's right, he's seen it, maybe he's waited and waited and waited. Maybe this is like a bus stop, and it's just sort of a stage waiting to happen. It's fantastic. This is in Antwerp, a carnival, 92. Just love this shot. I'm going to bring it down. It's such a shame it's so small. Look how strong that is. This is in Brussels, 1981. I mean, this is 1981. For me, going back to 1981, shooting colour like that, colour reversal, 64 ISO, something like that, and getting all that composition and lighting absolutely spot on, is somebody who's ahead of his time. It's like a masterclass in colour and composition and narrative. And for me, what I think is significant about this book is that it's 20, 30 years old. And I can see his influences. I think I can see his influences, but I can certainly see how he's influenced other people. Just with the motion, just like of people and how they interact with the frame, how he uses colour, how he uses contrast, how he uses time of day. I can see it. I can see now contemporaries and people from the last 10, 20, 30 years, how this has sort of influenced them. And that's what it's about. That picture there is, I think it's a dog festival or something, or something. And that's 1981. That's 91, 2001, nearly 30 years old. This. When I look at this, I see people like Trent Park. I see people like Alex Webb. I see Eggleston. I see all of these people who've sort of been part of this to some degree. And this is in Brussels, 1981. Just look at this. Look at the different use of planes. Look at it. I mean, it makes it look so simple. But I think what he's looking for is the light. He's looking for what the light is doing in that rectangle frame. And he's waiting, and every time he's looking through that viewfinder, he's splitting it up, dissecting it, and then he's waiting for things to happen. And he's not just creating, he's not just looking like he probably did there for a focal point, but he's looking for a multitude of layers, a complexity of interaction with different things, and he's bringing it all together. And it's honestly, it's an art form. It really is. And if, you know, we're going back to what I said about photorealism, makes you feel like a photograph is real, but it's a painting done in oils or watercolours or whatever. Whereas this has turned it around a little bit. It's more photography which looks like painting. It's really interesting. Maybe like that, for example. That was in 1988 in Flanders. Surreal. And I like this, you know, this is classic where I'm getting in the corner of the barn with a bit of a car sticking out. It's always leaving suggestions there. It's like some people might just put the car in and turn it. He's not interested. He wants to throw you off a little bit like he does with the pigs here. Just throwing you off. And again, it's using, I'll just bring this up, a little bit of tilt on there, bit more, giving it a bit of surreal aspect. This is just superb, absolutely superb. Look at the line. He's looking at that and he's waiting for things to happen in front. He spotted this earlier. This is what he's playing with. He's thinking, something I've got to add to this. I've got to get this to work to make this fit. And that's what I think this has come before that. And I think he's just waiting. I can see the way he's trying to orchestrate and choreograph the frame, so he's thinking beyond each plane all the time. And certain times you might think of the back plane, and it just looks like he's done that in this shot. Again, just abstract, 1981, Waterloo, a Napoleon Bonaparte statue with a Capri and a windmill. It's a stage set, it's got to be. It's not, but it's just, beautiful. I'd love to know what the text is. I don't mind that with the big picture and the text there. Okay, look at that. Hofstad, that's 1988. I haven't shown you all the pictures. I think you should get out and get this book. It's just a lesson, you know. It's just, look at that. It looks like England. It's Ypres, the funeral parlour, 88. It's beautiful. Just leaving you to think. And look, he's got the framing of the woman in the door. It's such a shame it's so small. This is beautiful. Look at this. Again, feels like a collage, doesn't it? It's sort of old and new and modern, and it's just fantastic. And again, look at that. Just the use of light again. The contrast. Get out and play with it. Get your camera on, I don't know, 50 ISO. Get out in the sun and just see what it does to it. And think of it like, just stick with one focal point, like 50 mil, and just work the camera lens, work the lens, move away, get close, stick with the prime lens, and just mess around. Don't think you've got to keep zooming in and zooming out to get stuff. It's seeing exactly what's in front of you. But what Harry does is he shows it his way. He's on a mission to show you the world in a way you might not have seen it. And that's his obsessive quality to taking pictures. Look at that. It just doesn't feel real, does it? It's just unreal. I don't know what. Let's just get down on that. Another shot right down. I don't really know what that is. It looks like some carnival. It's 1988. It's in Flanders. That one there. Throughout this, there's some nice subtle portraiture and classic landscape pictures, and then to complement it, he throws in a sort of abstract colour, three-dimensional view of the world, and leaves you puzzled and leaves you asking questions. And I think the book, together with the sort of traditional, almost beautiful portraits, that's in Bruges in 88. And then you've got what looks like a hotel or somewhere like a dance hall. It's just the juxtaposition between the both just makes you want to think about it. I love this shot. This is such a good shot. Look at that. 1981, and that's in Brussels train station. It's just a bizarre picture. A bit small again, but it's got these masks. Promise of Hail Nut. I'm not really sure. I know what it is. It's obviously some festival. Again, we're going back to that traditional landscape, the muted colours, very standard but almost Jacob van Ruysdael Dutch landscape. Just the use of the muted colours and just a bit like that as well. It's like sort of throwing back to the great Dutch painters. And then we've got something which jumps out at something like 60s photorealism. It's a very clever photographer. Now, I haven't shown you all the shots. I think you should just go out and get this. It's a wonderful piece of colour photography, a body of work. I certainly learn something every time I look at that book. Thanks, Harry. Thanks for the lesson. Thank you for watching. Buy the book, make your own mind up. Leave some comments, tell me what you think, because I'm not always right. I'm just giving you my point of view. Please subscribe, please share the channel. I wish you well. Thank you very much.